Now, I will start the conversation by directing all of you towards post-pandemic recovery that we are talking about. How do you think has India and Asia as a market evolved in the post-pandemic era? And what unique opportunities do you think this presents for your particular destinations? We'll start with Ms. Rosa.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. When we look at our statistics, India was the fastest region to recover post-COVID. And what's so interesting about your region is the younger demographic bracket. So millennials and Gen Zs really loving to take off. And for us, we're seeing the same thing from our North American markets. So we're quite interested in doing more in India.
Perfect. What about you, Mr. Brent?
Well, oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, for us in Fiji, we had, prior to COVID, China was a really big market that was really increasing into our part of the world. It was number 1 into Australia and New Zealand, and I think number 4 or 5 into Fiji. So they've been very slow to come back, still not at pre-COVID levels, whereas lots of our other markets already have recovered to and have gone past that. So from our perspective, the Indian market is really interesting for us because it's gone right up in Australia and New Zealand as well in our area. So from that perspective, it's really interesting for us to be able to connect to the Indian travelers, get them down to our part of the world.
And what's happening in Miami? Please tell us, Joe.
Well, for us, actually, we barely felt the pandemic in Miami and in Florida in general. We were closed, I think, for about a month and a half. We were officially open on June 1st, 2020. And so everyone flocked to Miami, to Florida first, and then made their way down to Miami. So the pandemic was actually incredible for us. We really didn't feel much of the effects. As a matter of fact, we had many new things that came into the destination, whether it was new events, new airline services came into the destination. So Europe was rather late coming on, just like Brazil. Latin America for us is, after the US, of course. Latin America is a very important region for us. And in this market, quite frankly, this is my 3rd visit to India. And it's been really, for us, we're starting here in the market. So we have a ways to go in terms of educating the trade as well as the consumers on Greater Miami and Miami Beach.
And I think you're at the perfect place to do that. What about Europe?
Actually, for us in the railway industry, it was the opposite to what you just described, because of course the pandemics went us down to 0 and no one was taking a train during these times. But what is of course very, very positive is that India is our 2nd largest market. It was the case in 23, it was again the case in 24. And giving you some numbers, when you compare to 2019, I guess outbound India into Europe, we are now pretty much on the same level as it was in 2019. It's at 99%, the latest numbers recovery. But the train sector is 32% above 2019. So you see a huge shift in terms of patterns, in terms of behavior, in terms of also mindset shift towards train, coming from coaches, coming from domestic and European flights. So this is good to see. And of course, the dynamics are that high as in no other region, I would say, around the globe.
And actually, you took the statement that I was going to ask in the next question about the statistic of Indians being the number 2 source market for Europe. So what do you think are the factors that contributed to the same?
Well, because you have such a huge variety. And when we talk about India, and we are here in this market for decades, of course, you saw people traveling to Rome and London and Paris, and they bought passes like the Swiss Travel Pass and the Euro Pass, which are still quite common, and we still have 45% share on our sales on passes. So with full flexibility, you can discover 33 countries in one ticket. That's great. But what is more the dynamics for the time being is that point-to-point is getting more popular. We see all the regional trains getting more popular. The regional trains mean mountain peaks, scenic trains, so Glacier Express, Bernina, and so on. And we are not serving only the first timers anymore. You know, now people are traveling the second or third time to Europe. They want to discover different places. They have seen Rome and London. They want to see Vienna and Prague and Budapest and Copenhagen. And of course, this is exactly what makes the growth as well. Huh?
Definitely. Now asking the question, coming to Brent, let's come to numbers, in fact. Where does India stand as a source market for Fiji?
So for us, it's a really growing, emerging market. I feel like we're very similar to Miami in the sense that we can see the potential, and it's an area that now that we're here, we're really reaching out to as many people as possible to help grow the market. We've got to grow airline connectivity. That's a really important piece to get to our part of the world. To get to Fiji, most people come through Singapore, and then you fly from Singapore directly to Fiji. We know that when people get to Fiji, they love it. So the big thing is, how do we make that trip as easy as possible for Indian tourists to actually make it down to Fiji? And I think part of the reason for us to be here at OTM is that we feel that this year we'll get double-digit growth out of India for sure. And we see the potential getting right up into our top 5. That's where we think it can get to. So the sky's the limit.
Definitely hoping we make it to the top 5, if not the top first, in fact. What about you, Joe?
Well, for us, we have a couple of challenges. The first being the visa, the wait time to the U.S. So that in itself creates a rather big challenge, especially for those that are applying for the visa for the first time. The great thing is that once you get it, it is a 10-year visa, so it makes that travel to the U.S. that much easier. Our other challenge is the connectivity. We don't have direct connectivity, but if there's a representative of Air India out there, where we'd love to have a direct route to Miami from Delhi or Mumbai, either one. So yes, and so we've been, we see the potential, and I saw the potential 2 years back, my first visit to India. I immediately brought that sentiment back to my colleagues and shared it with many of our partners, hotel partners and attractions and so on and so forth. And my goal is to come back in the very near future with partners with me, so that they can see the potential of the Indian market for us. So at the moment, we really don't have statistics that we can share. So we know that we're receiving Indian visitors in the destination. We just don't know how many.
Well, I think that gives room for a big surprise, a positive one for sure. And hopefully you'll be meeting a lot of potential partners here at OTM. What about you, Ms. Rosa?
So for the Cayman Islands, this is a new opportunity. All of our Indian visitors have been organic. We have a very healthy workforce representation from India across many of the areas of the country. But for us, we want to be able to flatten our seasonality. And right now, 80% or 85% of our visitors originate from the United States, and only 6% from the UK and Europe. So we're here to really diversify our visitor profile. It's been a wonderful introduction, because just this morning we were told it's so nice to see the Caribbean here. I know you have closer beach destinations, but we'd like for you to consider the Cayman Islands and the Caribbean.
I'm sure the audience is considering the same as well. And thank you for giving OTM the chance to do that, help you do that. Coming to the next question now, how do you plan, since these are the destinations that are looking to attract more and more Indian tourists, get them into the top 5? So what are the strategies that you're working on in 2025 to do the same? I'll start with you, Mr. Brent.
Yeah, so from our perspective, one of the advantages we have is it's visa-free for Indians to travel to Fiji. So that's, a real positive. It makes it very easy. So one of the first things that we do is tell people that. Also, a lot of people don't realise that Fiji, about 40% of our population is of Indian descent. So when you come to Fiji, it's this, beautiful South Pacific paradise, but, Hindi is spoken, there's amazing Indian food, temples, etc., because of this heritage. So for Indian travellers, Fiji is actually a very, very easy place to come to. So from our perspective, imagery always does it best for us. So we use, a lot of video, a lot of digital, and we've certainly started to ramp up our work with influencers. Last year we had a Bollywood couple come over and stay at one of our resorts. I've never seen so much press after it. It was phenomenal. So that's really exciting. We've connected. We have a GSA team here who work with us, and now the airline is doing a bit more as well. So that's sort of our key bit, is work with the travel agents, and then we do a little bit of consumer on the side as well.
I'm glad that the popularity and the press you got for Fiji, it would result in more and more collaborations in the future, especially this year. What about you, Mr. Joe?
Well, for us, as I said earlier, we're starting with the trade, educating the trade. We've been, the last 3 years, it's actually, my visits have started with Brand USA sales mission that they do here in India. So, and then from there, I usually extend. Last year and then this year, I extended my visit, so that I have an opportunity to visit tour operators, do sales calls, talk to them about the destination, and on this trip, it actually worked out well, OTM, so this is my first experience here at OTM, which I'm enjoying tremendously, having some really great meetings. And then eventually we will move into media, hopefully doing some campaigns that will help us to further amplify the message about the destination. But right now we are, the starting point is the trade.
And what about the US visa waiver talks that are going on?
Boy, I wish I could tell you what talks are happening, because I have no idea. I would love to know what those conversations are like. I do know that they are placing priority on student visas, because they know they realize that by issuing the student visas, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins will follow. So they're doing that, but certainly more has to be done to cut that wait time. I know that it's come down tremendously, but we're still here waiting. It's a year to a year and a half wait time, which shouldn't be. And unfortunately, in the U.S. government, there is no cabinet position within any administration that responsibility is travel. So we don't have a Ministry of Tourism like you do and many other countries around the world has. So we rely heavily on Brand USA, which is our DMO for the entire country, and then work our way down to the state DMO and then the local DMOs such as ourselves.
All right. Hopefully the visa waivers would be inclined towards tourists as well.
If it was up to me, I'd issue it right away.
The thought that counts. Miss Rosa, what about Cayman Islands?
So there's a few segments for us that are really relevant in the Indian market. First, multi-generational travel. Because the Cayman Islands started out in tourism with larger accommodations, guest houses, villas, condos, we feel that that's a great match for this market where, families and groups traveling together. Another segment for us would be destination weddings and honeymoons. We've done quite a few Indian weddings, which we know are an orchestrated, elaborate affair, and we believe that that too would be a great match. But again, going back to the younger demographics of millennials and Gen Zs, you know, we have 3 islands, so we believe the 3-island experience would be quite cool to be able to island hop and have a different experience on each island. The Cayman Islands allows for Indian visitors to come in if they already have a UK, Canadian, or US visa, and it's an automatic 30 days granted. Otherwise, it would go through your nearest British embassy because the Cayman Islands is a British overseas territory. So we've considered and looked at how we facilitate travel. Not all countries get that benefit, but it is quite a great advancement. And as you know, immigration worldwide can be a tricky thing, just as our friend here from Miami explained.
Rightfully said. And I mean, the weddings, Indians just love to show love in grand gestures. Coming to you, Bjorn, Indian tourists are already at the number 2 position now. So what is the next step for you to take it to the first position?
There's much more to come. No, seriously, when we look on 25, let me highlight 2 priorities. First is, I mean, we are a one-stop shop for European rail travel. We have 230 European train providers on our platform. And for us, it's all about supply, supply, supply. So really focusing on offers and bringing more offers on the platform. So now we just started with day train connections between Munich and Amsterdam, Paris and Berlin, Milan to Paris is back. We have lots of night trains coming. So one priority is supply, and exactly what I said before, because Indians want to really discover and explore different regions in Europe. And the second is obviously the trade, and you mentioned the trade already, which is so important for us. We have a very, very strong GSA network, and of course, in the last years, we were pretty much focusing also on the tier 1 cities in India, and now we go beyond. We have our local team here with webinars, with trainings, tier 2, tier 3 cities, with an increasing middle class who wants to afford travel to Europe, and this is exactly the wave we want to ride and where we invest in specifically in 25.
I mean, definitely middle class is becoming one of the big spenders in India, especially. The next question that I would like to ask all of you would be, how do you navigate the Indian travel trade ecosystem? You know, what role do partnerships with Indian tour operators, airlines, digital platforms play in your marketing strategies? I'll start with you.
I can just continue what I just said because, of course, the travel trade is our biggest partner. We are really connected to all the big brands in India. And, of course, we work with them closely together because their network brings thousands of sub-agents to us. And India, for us, is a B2B market. So, or better said, is a B2B2C market. And we don't have the ambition to go by ourselves, as we do in other parts of the world, because India is as it is, yeah, that we need really this kind of travel trade, and we want to educate together. And this is definitely different from our approach when we talk about US, Australia, and Europe. And here we will further invest in.
What about you, Mr. Brent?
Yeah, I find it really interesting, actually, that tourism boards often flip. You know, they decentralize and they centralize and they, you know, go back. And, you know, from where I sit at Tourism Fiji, you know, having a local partner in market is a must. So we work with Global Destinations, a fantastic agency, have been with us for a long time. You know, they know the market intimately. There's such a element of trust that's built up, and in terms of, you know, things like if you want to get into media or you want to do some PR, you know, they know the people, right? So even in my trip that I've been here now for a week. You know, some of the events that, you know, I've been to, the caliber of people that, you know, we're able to talk to is because of their local knowledge, and there's no way that we would be able to get access to those people. So we're heavily indebted to them. We will always, you know, continue that partnership. Of course, we can add on to that. So we can have, you know, people in market who are attached to the agency but full-time working for us, and that model works really, really well. So I think in that sense, you know, in a market like India where, you know, it's so big, you know, there's so many cities to work with, etc., like having that knowledge is absolutely invaluable.
I'm sure. What about you, Mr. Joe?
So we also operate on a global in-market representative representation of the destination, which is primarily just it's an extension of our office in Miami. So we do have a local rep here as well, which is Avia Reps that we work with. And actually we work with Avia Reps in many other markets as well. But it is key, absolutely key, to have a local representation that knows the market. I rely very much on our in-market reps that I work with. I value their opinion. I always, anything that I get that comes direct to me, I immediately share it with them because I want their input. Because if not, what's the point of having them here if we don't follow their recommendations? So partnerships are key, whether it's with airlines, definitely with the trade. And for me, I've been here, over 2 weeks. It'll be 17 days that I will spend here in India. And each person that I speak with, every tour operator I speak with, I learn something new about the market and how what it takes to really have success here. So partnerships are absolutely key for any success to have in any market.
Absolutely. What about you, Ms. Rosa?
So in this case, is this working? Perfect. In this case, I would say ditto, but I'll explain the Cayman context. We would have representation as well. One, time zone sensitivity. You want to be in the right time zone conducting your work. And we find that with our other markets that we're a lot more effective when we have someone in the market representing us. Equally, we share and we work with British Airways, and we've explained our expansion plans to them. So that expansion on our efforts with markets has also created serious conversations about more direct airlift. So they all work together. And when you have representation, then you're able to invest more with, a fully integrated marketing plan to really tell the story. So that's kind of what's coming down the pipeline for us as we organize in India.
Sounds like a plan. The next question, of course, with established destinations like Singapore, Dubai, and Thailand having strong appeal to the Indian market, how do you plan on differentiating your destination from these? Mr. Brent, if you can weigh in.
So the easy answer for us is that no other place has Fijians. And what I mean by that is that, our brand proposition is where happiness comes naturally. So it's actually about the Fijian people. So you're totally right. You look at, the Cayman Islands, Maldives, Fiji, all beautiful, amazing water, beaches, etc. So how are we different? And it's because of the Fijian people. So they're known for being amongst the happiest people in the world. It's a very natural location, no high rise, and it's built for tourism. So, from that perspective, for us to differentiate, of course we want to show those real selling points, that, Fiji actually has, the rainforest as well as the ocean, which is, really exotic and beautiful. But the fact that, the Fijian people will literally sing to you when you arrive and sing to you when you leave. It's an incredible culture. It's an alive culture. And around the world, I think all of us understand that culture is a thing we need to preserve, and that in some ways is declining as the world becomes a bit more homogenous. So to be able to have that alive culture in Fiji and it to be very much a part of your holiday, that's our differentiation for sure.
I'm sure it sounds delightful. I'm pretty sure I would love to visit Fiji as soon as possible. Mr. Joe.
Well, for us, it's Miami has a perception of nightlife and beaches, and we're really a lot more. And one of the things that we talk about the least or mention the least is the beach, and where we tend to concentrate a lot is actually on the people of the destination, because we feel that that's one of our pillars. Is the residents of Miami in general. We have a program that we, as an organization, do with our hotel partners and attractions and so on and so forth that's called Miami Begins With Me, which means that we are all ambassadors of the destination. And so for us, we talk about the natural side of the destination, the natural beauty of the destination. We talk about, again, our heritage neighborhoods, and many of the many of the events that take place in the destination that really are unique, our ecosystems, such as the Florida Everglades, which is one of our national parks. We're actually the only U.S. destination with 2 national parks within our boundaries of our county, which is the Everglades as well as Biscayne National Park, and a preserve, a national preserve, which are all part of the U.S. Park system. And those ecosystems are very unique to the U.S. and to the state of Florida as well. So we primarily want to present other areas and other aspects of the destinations, and that Miami is so much more. There's art, there's culture, there's the culinary scene, which continues to expand. We have 14 Michelin star restaurants, and I've been away from home so long that we actually added 6 more Michelin restaurants in Miami. So again, there's just so much more to the destination than just that nightlife that you see in shows and in movies and the beach.
Sounds like a complete package. Ms. Rosa? Oh, sorry, you were saying, Mr.
No,
Joe.
I said I do like the thing of arriving and having people sing to you as you arrive, so I love that.
Yeah, that definitely does sound magical. Ms. Rosa, what about Cayman Islands?
So we just believe that we're the it destination for the Caribbean, and we're brand new in this region. So we have a lot of work to do, and I'm sure we will draw a lot of interest. But to just tell you a little bit about the feel and the vibration of the Cayman Islands, we believe we're the culinary capital of the Caribbean. We have over 130 nationalities living in our country. So, the Indian cuisine is readily available. Vegetarian cuisines readily available. You can have an extension of your lifestyle. We have such an active calendar of events, festivals, shows, cookouts. So at any time of the year, you can come down and have an experience. And what I know about the Indian market from our research, it shows that particularly millennials and Gen Xers, and not a lot of focus on the Gen Xers recently, but millennials, they're traveling longer for experiences and they're looking for comfort. We're a premium destination. We have many, many accommodations to suit different lifestyles and preferences. So for us, it's just to be able to introduce the Cayman Islands to India and showcase what we have.
I love the catchphrase, the it destination. And the way you 3 describe the destinations, I feel like everyone in this room could already imagine being there at that place. Now, beyond coming to Europe, what do you think are the destinations that Indian tourists are preferring? What are the favorites of Indians in terms of Europe?
So unfortunately, no one is yet singing when someone is boarding the train, but I can definitely ensure that the experience on the train is exceptional. No, the first question was how can the destinations differentiate from Thailand and Singapore and others? And I mean, it's an easy question to answer when you represent Europe in this panel, because I would say, and I'm convinced that there's not more diversity in a continent than in Europe. And you can really cross 100 kilometers, 500 kilometers, and you see from history, from landscape, from culinary actions, from history, completely different things. And this is exactly what we see with the Indians. They not only experience different trains, from scenic trains to high-speed trains to regional trains, they experience different destinations and complete different tastes, flavors, everything. And this is exactly what we build on, and it's a lot on education and information sharing. And exactly as I said before, we have a strong network, but we also have a local team. It's so important, specifically for European products, and it's not only our experience that you sell a global product at the end, what of course comes back to Europe around the globe, but you have localized teams understanding the different needs of the market. And the Indian needs are completely different to the needs in Florida, for instance, yeah, where we are quite strong as well. And focusing on this and highlighting what the Indians can experience beyond Switzerland, beyond a Eurostar, yeah, what is already quite common. This is our task, and I guess the diversity is nowhere higher than in Europe.
Well, that was actually my next question, which is going to be the last question due to the time crunch. The hidden gems. What would you say? Like, what would you recommend to the Indian tourists, to the people present here today, to the travel trade? What are the hidden gems that they should be discovering in Europe?
I mean, for me personally, of course, we are talking about big brands when we talk about Europe usually, yeah? and talking about Glacier Express and Bernina Express and Eurostar, what I just said. Everyone should experience this at least once. But beyond, and if you want to get a bit off of the beaten track, of course, you find experiences quite similar. Yeah, let's talk about the Golden Pass, for instance, in Switzerland, connecting Interlaken to Montreux. My favorite is actually going from Bern to Montreux because you pass the Lake Geneva and you see the Lavaux region and the vineyards and so on. I would definitely recommend to go to the Benelux, so Amsterdam, Brussels, Luxembourg, also the Northern Sea. So different things what you cannot discover right in front of your door, also when it comes to an Indian perspective. So it's so much to discover, and specifically, last point, yeah, going a bit more into the Eastern European region. I mentioned that before, but Budapest and Prague, the fastest growing destinations actually currently in Europe for the Indians. Still on low numbers, but very high growth rate.
I hope everyone is making the list. What about you, Mr. Brent? What about Fiji, hidden gems?
Yeah, so of course, people, when they think of Fiji, they think of, the coconut palms and the beaches. But I think the hidden gem is actually the fact that we have, the rainforest and the jungle, and getting up into those parts of Fiji. We actually have whitewater rafting. We have an experience called river tubing, where you actually get in a tube and come down the river, which is really, really special. So I think if you come to Fiji, I know Indian travelers are lovers of experience. So either get an e-bike or a trek or something and go up into the hinterland. It's incredible.
Sounds lovely. What about Miami?
Well, I can think of a couple of places, but one that I would recommend right off the bat would be Wynwood, which is one of our neighborhoods. And it is the epicenter of the art scene in Miami. So it has the largest concentration of urban artwork, or murals, if you will. And the first week of December, for the art lover, is a great time to be in Miami. And especially if you go to the Wynwood Walls, which is an outdoor museum, they normally pick 6 walls, they whitewash them, and to experience the artists as they come in and create those incredible murals, I think is something that is a great experience to have in Miami, and just enjoying really the different neighborhoods, whether it's Coconut Grove or Coral Gables, Little Havana, to enjoy. Again, these are all different cultures and experiences. Little Haiti is another area to enjoy in the destination. Of course, can't leave out South Beach, which is something that everyone that I speak with here seems to be a favorite, of the destination. So there's a lot of history in Miami and around the city of Miami. So just take the time to really get out of your comfort zone and experience what all of Greater Miami and Miami Beach have to offer.
Sounds lovely. And I'm pretty sure the travel trade that you're speaking with, they're already starting to make all the packages. It's all getting in their brainstorming.
I certainly hope so, yes.
What about Cayman Islands?
So for Cayman Islands, Little Cayman, there's Bloody Bay Wall that you must dive. It has the most biodiversity found in the Cayman Islands. In Cayman Brac, you can rock climb the face of our bluff, which is 160 meters above sea level. So quite an exhilarating experience. And a hidden gem on Grand Cayman is the Crystal Caves, and it has an underwater lake when you visit it. So it's quite enamoring, and they've been opening new caves over time. So those would be my 3 hidden gems, because I have 3 islands.
For the adventure buffs. Lovely, lovely. And with that, I would like to wrap up this panel discussion. It was an enriching session, and we, I think, were already transported to the destinations of yours. Thank you so much. And on that note, I would like to felicitate the panelists here as a token of thanks for participating in this panel discussion. Thank you so much.